साइंस का सही है तो वीडियो है ना जो कि Yes, Romil.
Start Kashu.
Yeah.
Good evening to all. I hope on major facility may join the meeting. I welcome today's speaker CM Mukesh Ladda ji, Convener BK Chawda, Deputy Convener CA Jinten Thakkar, and all participants in a 24 virtual meeting for the financial year 2021-22 on the topic of latest update in the GST. Now I request CA BK Chawda for the opening remarks for the today's seminar.
Thank you, Romil bhai. And the presence shows that the work started because everybody is getting busy with the work. So we are getting little bit lesser participants. But yes, as the time passes, we are reaching the touching to 40. That is the average presence, sir. So thank you, Laddaji, for accepting as usual our invitation. And I would like to say that you and this Brijesh bhai are all, sir, our Sankat Mochan. Whenever we have any issues, you are always available. So thank you for that. Thank you all the participants. And as this is the end of Navaratri, so you all must have enjoyed the Navaratri and hope the Diwali will also be good for us. And after listening the today's seminar, I think we will have much clarity about the doubts and difficulties and latest amendments in GST. So definitely it will help us a lot, and we will enrich our knowledge and will have much helpful in our practice. Thank you, Laddaji. Thank you, Romil bhai. Carry on the seminar ahead.
Thank you, Chawda ji. Now I request CA Sagar Kadam for the introduction of today's speaker.
Namaste friends. We all know very well our today's faculty CM Mukesh Ladda. He is among senior chartered accountants of our Gandhinagar CP circle. And
सागर भाई वीडियो चालू करजो ने तो लोकोने थोडું મજા આવે.
Sorry. Yeah. So he's a partner and also head of DMKH and company. Before he started his practice in January 2019, he held leadership roles in various companies like Polycab, Vedanta Sisa, Goa, Abhijit Group, SR Steels, through which he gained vast experience in areas of indirect taxation, accounts, costing, budgeting, audit, etc. It is notable that he is also member of CA committee and indirect tax committee of Ahmedabad branch of CA. He also has experience of handling departmental audits and investigations by departments like DRI, DGCEI, and anti-evasion team, etc. And has handled litigations up to state level. Assisted businesses to map their processes to be in line with statutory requirements and systems like SAP and Oracle. Introduction, I request Ladda sir.
आवाज कैसे आ रहे थे भाई? Somebody's office. Okay now.
Yes. રોમિલ ભાઈ આપનો મ્યુટ કરવાનું છે.
Thank you, Chawda sir, Chintan bhai, Sagar, Romil sir. Thank you very much. It's my privilege actually to be associated with Gandhinagar circle, and I always enjoy, sir, by interacting with you all people. I'm audible now, sir?
Yes.
Okay. During my corporate journey, sir, I handle excise, customs, service tax, GST, and all, more or less all type of indirect tax issues. Now the whole indirect tax era is changed, and now we are in the process of settling down of GST. Now, whatever amendments or clarification which are coming now, it's generally in clarification or pro revenue, because now government is pushing to enrich the revenue as much as possible. And also they are trying to fill the gap where lacunas are there. So in recent GST Council meetings and after the clarifications, some odd clarifications are actually challenging, I would say, especially the clarification in terms of royalty, where royalty, the tax on the or GST on the royalty itself is a issue in service tax. But still department have decided to go to charge or consider royalty as a consideration for releasing the in terms of vendors and anything. So that is also one of the big issue which I would like to highlight. But before touching the individual, whatever the major clarifications, amendments made by the recent council meetings and after some clarification, we would like to touch in summarized form. There are some circulars. I will try to touch the circular also. Then if time permits, we'll touch some recent updates in terms of legal updates. So frankly speaking, I could not found so much time, but still I try to elaborate and summarize the things. It may possible that I have missed something, sir. So please bear with that. So my screen is visible, sir.
No, no,
Screen is visible, sir.
it's just yeah, yes,
Okay.
visible.
So in the recent 45 GST Council meeting, the major updates which actually measures are some of the, I would say, clarificatory in nature, some of, I would say, pro revenue, or to give the intent of department that what department want to do. So first, the first point which is there, concession, like the major whatever concession has been given to the in terms of COVID issues, COVID pandemic issues. So that has been extended to the 30th September. Whatever exemptions are available, so it is extended to 31st December. Then there are various recommendations made by in terms of this. So the GST rate is also accordingly implemented for from 1st October 21. Now inverted duty structure, which Supreme Court also highlighted in case of recent judgment. So there are some changes which have to be implemented, and they have given a declaration that the changes will be implemented from 1st January 22. But still, what would be the changes? How it will affect the calculations? Whether the calculation will include the service tax, although it's understood that they will not include the service tax component in inverted duty structure refund claim, but still, because the Supreme Court have touched the formula issue, so something will come into that, and the changes will come in effect from 1st January 22. There was some hue and cry in terms of petroleum product to bring the petroleum products into GST regime, especially air aviation fuel, or now we can see on daily basis that changes are actually at upward only. It's rare that the downward rates are coming. So, but still, because it's a bonanza for state governments, and state government don't want to lose this bonanza, and it will be continue to be out of GST net all petroleum product. Certain services recommendation changes is also from 1st of the October. That whatever the changes are there, first, nil rate from GST on the following services: transport of goods by vessel and air from India to outside. I don't know how department can claim that this is actually exemption, because if it is from India to outside, it should be, although there is a issue, we can understand that the service tax issue on the sea freight, already actually struck down by the High Court, Gujarat High Court, but it's not in the case of GST. So right now the exemption has been given for the outward supply only from India to outside India. GST rate increment from 12 to 18%. Now licensing services, right to broadcast, original film, sound recording. Now all this radio signal activity, including our, I would say, telecast, TV telecast, this will also cover our mobile telecast and all. So the service GST rate will increase from 12 to 18%, and this is going to be more costlier. Printing and reproduction of service of recorded media. This is also from 12 to 18%. E-commerce operators are liable to pay GST on the following services. Now, transport of passenger by type of motor vehicles. So whatever e-commerce operate services, so they are burdened with the additional GST component. Restaurant services with some exceptions. So some of the restaurant services, so-called cloud kitchens and all, are brought into this, and there is a clarification. So we'll touch that point also. Clarification in terms of GST rate on HS is on various goods such as pure henna powder, laboratory reagents, supari, carbonate, beverage, batteries. So various circulars also have been issued on all these individual matters. So we will try to touch that point. GST on specified renewable energy projects, especially solars. So there was some amendment from 1st January 19 that any turnkey projects, or I would say EPC projects, so 70% will be treated as supply of goods, 30% will be treated supply of services. The same treatment is to be given for the prior period item, but if I have paid or anybody have paid excess what actually ought to be paid, no refund would be granted. Due to ambiguity in the applicable rate of GST on fiber drum supply made of 12%, so all type of drums would be comes under a uniform rate of 18%. Then other clarifications, services by grant of mineral exploration. It's, I would say, bonanza of litigations. So it's a clarifications from the department that from 1st July 17, the rate would be 18%. There was an amendment, and as per amendment earlier, it was understood that up to 31st December 18, the rate would be 5%, after it will be 18%. Now, if the rate would be treated as 18% from 1st July 17, it will attract the interest, it will attract a lot of issues. If I pay today, whether the GST credit would be available, not available, there are a lot of issues. So I don't know how many litigation will arise with these amendments or clarifications, I would say. Then admission to amusement park. There are two types of amusement parks. One is simple amusement parks, and another amusement parks will have the alcoholic beverage and all, like I would say casino and all. So there is a clarification that if it's with casino, then it will be 28%. So super rich people will pay more GST, like that. Then alcoholic liquor for human consumption is not food. So there was a doubt that whether all this bar and anything which you supply the hard drinks will also come in the restaurant or not. So department confirmation that you will fall under 18% regime. Then some relaxation on ITC 04 for job work returns and all. So earlier it was quarterly, so now it's 6 month and annual. So below 5 crore and above 5 crore. So there is some relaxation in terms of filing of returns. Then retrospective amendment of section 53 in terms of interest liability, this is also a welcome amendment. I would say clarification that any ineligible ITC, if availed and not utilized, will not liable to pay interest. So earlier, if I availed and it's liable, I have not utilized, still there is doubt that whether it will be fall under whether interest is liable to pay on this or not. Then unutilized balance in CGST is also welcome decision and welcome, I would say, facilitations. In the same pen, if in one state I have additional cash balance, which I am not able to utilize it by whatever reasons, whether I have a surplus credit there or I don't have any supply of goods or services, in that case, I can transfer this cash ledger balance. I'm actually emphasizing it is only for cash ledger balance, not the credit ledger. So any cash ledger lying unutilized under the same pen umbrella can be transferred to other state GSTN, so that I am not required to file a refund claim, go to department, get the refund and pay to another GSTN. So this is a welcome amendment and welcome facilitation, I would say. This will save the working capital requirement where I have an additional cash ledger balance in one state and I'm required to pay cash liability to other state. Then issuance of following circulars to remove ambiguities. There are certain ambiguities and disputes in terms of intermediary services. So still, I would say there is a lot of confusions of what is actually intermediary services, which type of services will call intermediary services, which is not. So I would suggest that we need to understand, when I'm not providing any services from my side, I'm only facilitating the services for others, then only it will be intermediary services. Otherwise, I would be a supplier of services. So this will not fall under into that. So unless it is an intermediary service, this will not applicable. Then clarification in terms of mere establishment of distinct persons. So there are a lot of confusions and issues from the department side. So whether what type of establishment will be considered under this particular section 2(6) of IGST Act. So whether it will be classified as a merely establishment for intermediate service or not. So it is again a clarifications. Whether it will be actually implemented or not, we have a lot of doubt on that. Then clarification in respect of CGST issues relating to section 16(4). Now, date of issuance of debit note. It's a tricky issue, and there are certain so-called notices issued by the department. Earlier, the date is not relevant, and that is from the services. So whether the invoice is issued or debit note issued after that, whether it will actually co-link with the time of service, so that link actually break with the amendment. The date of invoice or debit note will be considered for the purpose of quantification of time for amendment of credit. Then rule 48(4) for no need to carry the physical copy. This is also welcome amendment. When I have issued e-invoice and e-invoice in terms of rule 48(4), then already all the formalities are done. E-way bill is already issued. Then whether the e-way bill also required to be have an attached e-invoice copy or not. So with this clarification, a lot of saving will be in terms of papers, and it's I would say one forward step to save the lot of papers and trees. So it's a welcome decision, and we should also ask our clients to implement it. If we are issuing an e-invoice, then please don't print the invoice. Then there is a clarification on the export duty and the refund applicability and refund availability. There are certain goods which actually fall under export duty. Export duty is also a penultimate tax, where the exporter is also required to pay export duty, although it is an export of goods. It is a penultimate tax when the government understood that these minerals are actually for within the use of India, and it's actually assets of India, and it should be used within the country. But even in that case, if I'm exporting, so government have charged under the custom provision export duty. One of the example is iron ore fines is actually levied with the export duty. So there are certain goods which actually in the export duty tariff with nil rated or zero rated, and in the refund provisions there is a specific endorsement. If there is a levy of export duty, then refund is not applicable or available. In that case, I would give an example. I think all says on coal matters and all this issue actually crop up. And now government clarified if it is zero duty or nil duty export duty, although it's called under export tariff, export duty tariff, but the refund would be available. Then other measures which in terms of compliances, Aadhaar authentication to be made mandatory for filing refund claim also, and for revocation of cancellations of registrations also. So there are a lot of issues in terms of fuzzy refunds claims or pushing of revocations without having the business place. So now Aadhaar authentication is also made for these activities. Then late fee for delayed filing of GST to be auto populated and collected in next open returns, although it was there in earlier also, but I don't know, there are certain issues, so now it is made applicable. Refund to be disbursed in the bank account linked with the same PN on which the registration. So if I have 2-3 accounts and I have requested to department to issue a refund claim on other account which is not linked in GSTN, then it will not be available, and the refund will be disbursed only on those accounts, so that it can be tracked who has received, where it has been actually utilized. So it's a tracking mechanism. Then under Rule 15(6) of CGST rules from 1st January 22, that a registered person shall not be allowed to furnish GSTR 1 if he has not furnished GSTR 3B. It's, I would say now, because in the Rule 60, Section 16, there is a requirement that unless my invoice is appeared into GSTR 2A, the credit is not available. Now people who actually were filing GSTR 1 only and not paying the tax to government, now because the return has been filed, tax, there is no mechanism to the recipient whether tax has been paid or not. So this is made mandatory now. Okay, if the earlier month GSTR 3B has not been filed, then I would also not be eligible to file GSTR 1 of the following months. I would say it's a good to make the disciplines and to I would say reduce the difference between GSTR 2 and our purchase register, so that if I'm not able to issue an invoice in the next month, I am actually compelled to file GSTR 3B and pay the tax to government. So the conditions of payment of taxes vis-a-vis appearing of invoices in GSTR 2A will synchronize. Rule 36(4) amended to restrict availment of ITC to the extent of details of such invoice debited or furnished by the suppliers in form GSTR 1 and reflected in 2B. So whatever margins were available is automatically, I think, vanished now, because the now unless it is appeared, I will not be avail the credit. With this amendment, the hue and cry related 36 will also get settled. So these were the actually main recommendations by the council. We'll try to touch the relevant circulars also issued to implement these declarations by the GST Council. Now, mandatory Aadhaar authentications for the purpose of revocations and all, already the rules has been amended for this. Section and rules both are amended for the ITC 04 also. Mandatory filing of GSTR 3B previous month is also brought into the amendment. This is very important clarification by the department. There is a provision that by mistake, if I have declared some of the supplies as an intrastate and subsequently it is found that it is a interstate or vice versa, in that case, I can file a refund claim for the wrong tax paid and I am required to pay the correct tax. But while payment of tax correctly, the interest is exempted. And there is a time limit for filing the refund claim of 2 years. Then how the 2 years would be counted, how the 2 years would be measured, a clarifications as well as methodology has been suggested by the department, so that the department will not or cannot or may not or will not reject such type of refund claim which is genuine. And in my opinion, all types of refunds, the time limitation would be not less than 23rd September 23, because this is the clarification amendment from the department. So at least I have a time limit up to 23rd September 23 in each and every case. Then the circular number 163, which actually clarifies that henna and henna powder are in the same thing, and the henna which naturally actually grown and collected from the trees, and the henna which actually converted or manufactured by with the help of processing from the this will come into the same HSN, and the just concessional rate of 5% would be applicable for both the products. And this is a retrospective of clarifications. Then there are various clarifications on below issues. We'll try to touch one by one, and it's I would say especially which may actually relevant. The first amendment is clarification is very important. Then 6 is also very important. Then coaching is also good where it is government aided. Overloading charges also actually for transporters there is a clarifications. So and the 7 clarification is very important and would actually have a lot of litigations on this account. We'll try to touch one by one. Cloud kitchens, actually the cloud kitchens concept comes where anybody want to start their restaurant without having the infrastructures. They can actually collect the orders through online facility and then deliver through delivery at door, whether it is a Zomato or so they maintain the centralized kitchen, they maintain the kitchen at their home and then delivery. So whether this will come on fall under restaurant service or not, so there is a clarification. So they have clarified what exactly the restaurant, whether the restaurant will cover off the road also or not. So I would just like to emphasize the definition of restaurant services actually included in the notice number 11. Restaurant service means supply by way of or as a part of any service of goods, being food or any other article for human consumptions or any drink provided by a restaurant, eating joint including mess, canteen, whether for consumption on or away from the premises where such food or any other article for human consumptions or drink is supplied. So the restaurant covers whether I have infrastructure to have a sitting arrangement within the premises. So with this clarification, the restaurant also covered this takeaway services at door delivery for consumption of food considered as a part of restaurant services, and accordingly service by this entity by way of cooking and supplying of food, even if it is exclusively by way of takeaway or door delivery or through or from any restaurant, would be covered by the restaurant services. So as recommended by the councils, this will come under the exempted concessional services at the rate 5%. So it will reduce the litigations for these industries. This is special for ice cream parlors. Whether any ice cream parlors who are actually selling, not manufacturing. The emphasis is that I am not manufacturing the ice cream. I am selling the packaged ice cream, already manufactured ice cream. So whether it will be considered a part of restaurant or not. So in nowadays, if we see there are nitrogen parlors where and the ice cream actually manufactured based on my order. These are exclusive to this, that can be considered as a manufactured. But in this particular case, where only the ice cream are being sold as a already packed and manufactured ice cream, then it's a sale of goods rather than, although there is a some of the mixed supply of services also, but the primary service would be considered a sale of goods and it come under 18%. So although there is a rate MRP, so whenever you or any of us actually buying any ice cream, we should see that the GST should not be charged over and above the MRP. So now they are required to pay 18% by having the reverse calculations. Then there is a specific clarification for the coaching services where the entire expenditure is provided by government without any coaching services by the NGO, which is actually funded by government, whether it will be exempted or not. So there is a clarifications, and based on the clarifications, it's come under NT number 72 of notice number 12/17, that exempt services provided, it is understood that these services are being provided to central government, and the entity which is actually providing the coaching is only a mediator. So in that case, any services is provided to central government or state government will fall under entry number 72, and accordingly scope of this entry is wide enough to cover the coaching services provided by coaching institutions and NGO under the central scheme of scholarship for students with disabilities, the specific where total expenditure is borne by the government by way of funding to institute providing such coachings. So in that case, it would be exempted. Now, satellite loan services provided by NSIL. There was some representation from New Space India Limited, whether it would be treated the services as like Department of Space, and the treatment of services is provided under circular number 2/27, circular number 2 dated 27 September 17. So there is a clarification, and the services being treated as at par to that level. GST on overloading charges collected by toll plaza. Although there is a limit of loading for any particular loading vehicle, but if any vehicle actually have the overloading, the toll plaza actually charge the penalty or taking extra amount, but that would also exempted, and that is considered as a part of principal services, and accordingly the exemption will be provided. There will not be any GST to that. This is very important, whether I would say in Ahmedabad, whatever services of general services we are providing, what is, क्या नाम है उसका चावड़ा साहब, जो हम सर्विस दे रहे हैं ना यहाँ पे अहमदाबाद के अंदर, the city buses service and all which is provided through the state government, so it is treated as exempted services, and this will part of exemptions, and there will not be any GST to this. Even it is comes under renting of vehicles, although there is some negative AR on this, considering the definition of service tax provisions, whatever it was earlier. But now the government has clarified that the intent is to provide the exemption, and there will be the exemption will be available to all this. Now, this issue, which actually I would like to have a discussion on the point. The services by way of grant of mineral exploration of mining rights. The issue actually was litigative since service tax regime. In service tax also, the amendment which came by Finance Act 16 in mid of, I think, April 16, right? That giving the rights of leasing rights or rights of mining of mineral and ores would be considered as a services from the state government, and the service tax would also be applicable. In that case, there were a lot of writ petitions in the various high courts, and the principal debate is on that whether the royalty would be treated as a tax or it is a consideration. Because you are not selling the mine, it's only given a right to. Once the lease expire, I need to give back. So whether it is a consideration for whatever minerals actually I'm taking, I'm mining, and there are two type of charges or levy on this. One, the amount which actually I have paid through auction. Second, the royalty which I am paying at the time of each removal. Whether this will be considered as a part of right of use, transfer of use, right of transfer of use. In that case, there is a judgment from Rajasthan High Court which considered that it is a tax and should not be levied. The matter is actually pending before Supreme Court, and various litigations are awaited in service tax regime. But especially in GST, from first day, it is clarified that transfer of right to use for mining activity is considered as service, and the GST would be applicable. Now, from 1st July 17 to 31st March 18, there was no separate entity, I would say separate clarification. There was an amendment in the one notification was there which clarified that it would come under the ancillary activity and 18% would be applicable. Prior to that, there was a discussion, and based on the discussions and based on the nature of the services and all, it is classified under 5%. So I would just like to read some para to this. Representation have been received requesting for clarification as to the rate of CGST applicable on supply of services by way of granting mineral exploration mining rights during the period 1st July 17 to 31st December 18 with effect from 1st January 19. The rate schedule has been specifically amended, and it is undisputed since then that such service attracts GST at the rate of 18%. So post 1st January 19, there is no issue because there was a specific amendment for this. For the disputed period of 1st July 17 to 31st March 18, divergent ruling have been issued. One ruling from MP AR, one ruling from Odisha AR in case of NMDC. Odisha AR has been told that it is to be considered as 18%, where MP AR has been told that it is for 5%. So Haryana AR, sorry. So Haryana, in case of Pioneer Partner AR and Chhattisgarh in case of NMDC, ruled out that the service of grant of mineral lease is classified under service of 997337, where the licensing service holds the right to use minerals, including its exploration and evaluations, and attracted prior to 1st January 19 the same rate 8 GST applicable to minerals, that is 5%. Serial number 17. 8, notice number 11. The rate prescribed against this entry prior to 1st January 19 was the same as applicable on supply of the like goods involving transfer of title in goods. In certain other advanced ruling, in view of has been taken the grant of right of mineral exploration and mining would be covered under heading 9991 and would attract GST at around 18%. Here, Odisha, on the other hand, has ruled out by order dated 5th November 19 In case of Penguin Trading and Agency Limited, the grant of mining lease would classify at 18% prior to 1st January 19 also. The appellate authority also observed that GST rate applicable against this was not implementable. Unlike leasing and renting of goods, there are no underlying goods in case of leasing of mining area. The rate prescribed for goods cannot be made applicable to leasing of mining area. One way the government want to say that it is not a tenancy right, which confer the right to extract the appropriate minerals. The mining lease by government not being a lease of any goods cannot attract the rate applicable to sale of the live goods. So, appellate authority for Advanced Ruling Odisha has further held that the amendment carried out by notification number 27, which restrict the same rate as applicable to the supply of goods involving transfer of title of goods only to leasing or renting of goods, was to clarify the legislative intent as well as to resolve the unintended interpretations. It is a settled law that the interpretation which defeat the intention of legislature cannot be adopted. It accordingly upheld the licensing services for the right to use minerals, including its exploration and evaluation, falling under service code. This was taxable 18%. This is a judgment from Odisha AR and AAR. Now, what is the issue here? It may be noted that the expression same rate of tax as applicable in supply of live goods involving transfer of title in the goods apply in case of leasing or renting of goods. In case of grant of mining rights, there is no leasing or renting of goods. Hence, the said entry does not extend a grant of mining rights, which is an entirely different activity. The issue was placed before the GST councils. And as regard to classification, it was recommended by the council that the service by way of grant of minerals, exploration and mining right most appropriately fall under service of 997337, that is licensing service for right to use minerals, including its exploration evaluations. As regard the applicable rate for the period of the 1st July to the 31st December 18, the councils took note of following facts. GST Council in 4th meeting held that 3rd and 4th November 16 has decided that the supply of services will be generally taxed at the rate of 18%. So they taken the reference of November 16. More importantly, the GST Council in the 14th meeting held at 18th and 19th May 19, which recommending the rate of schedules of services 5, 12, 18 and 28 specifically recommended that all the residuary services would attract GST rate 18%. Now, council actually clarifying their or justifying their stand. The rate applicable on the service of grant of mineral exploration license and mining lease under service tax will also be standard rate of 15.5% in services. Now they are actually equating with the service tax regime, because there is a 15.5, so 18% is justifiable here also. Therefore, the intention has always been to tax this activity at the standard of 18%. So, council has recommended and clarified that even if the rate schedule did not specifically mention the services by way of granting of mining rights during the period 1st July 17 to 31st December 18, it was taxable at 18% in your principle laid down in the 14th meeting of councils for the residuary GST rate. Post 1st January 19, no dispute. So I have a different opinion on this. When there is a specific amendment in the entry itself, then how the amendment would be clarifications and clarificatory in nature. So I have given some justification on my stand. A perusal of above circular shows that up to 31st March 18, the residual category 17.6 covered licensing services for the right to use minerals, which specified same rate of GST applicable to the corresponding minder. So there was no entry for 18% in this case. However, the legislative intent was always to tax it at an standard of 18%. Therefore, keeping this view in mind, amendment in serial number 17, notice number 11 was made on 31st December. The government still want to say, although I have made the amendment in 31st December, but I intend to charge 18% from the 1st July. It's very contradictory. When the separate category for leasing or renting the goods was carved out of subcategory 6A, and therefore the new residual category, which was applicable from 1st January 19, 18% should not be made applicable. So therefore, it can be inferred from the circular that the legal position up to 31st December 18 prescribing same of GST is applicable to the minders to the residual category